Hey folks, welcome back to another golden Pompano adventure. Last couple of series we have been struggling trying to hold this mold together, and we also struggled to get this fish skinned out. A lot different than a freshwater fish. These saltwater fish are oily, greasy. They do have a tough skin, but there is a lot of scraping to be done and a lot of flesh, and that should probably come out of there, but I'm not going to scrape on it anymore. I mean, we're doing some damage to it, and just like we did to this mold.
But we're just keeping this for us. It's not for resale.
Yeah, this is kind of a drama series of taxidermy without a client, a customer involved. It's just drama here in the north part of Minnesota. So anyways, just catch you up to date. Could go on hum, but I'm still debating how I was going to fix this mold. And what we came up with is we just put potter's clay in here, and we feathered it around. And I just basically took a spray bottle, filled in the gaps in the cracks. And what I want to do is I'm just trying to feather this potter's clay in. Just going to dampen it up just a hair here, and we're going to drop the skin in here. This is kind of an unconventional way of doing things these days. Most of the time people would actually use a foam mannequin that they would carve or do a replica for sure on a saltwater fish, but we're on an adventure. So what we're doing here now is we're just lining everything up. We got the bottom jaw there. You can see where our top secondary dorsal fin was right there from the plaster mold. We're going to try and do this while putting a lot of pressure on the skin, because we don't want to disrupt this mannequin, this mold, this plaster cast. If we were going to keep this for multiple fish, I would have just redone the cast. But the purpose of this series and keeping our fellow followers informed, and we're going to continue on our way. I've always promised that I can fix anything but rot when it comes in the taxidermy business, but I wasn't anticipating a broken plaster mold. So put your money where your mouth is, and you know, we're going to prove that we're going to pull this off.
I guess we'll see.
We're going to prove that the power of editing. See you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. No, but no, we're just trying to get this in there. I'm just trying to lay this flat in here without a lot of wrinkles in the skin. And the only thing I think we have to our advantage on this is editing. No, actually, what we have on our advantage is this really is a tough skin, in all seriousness.
I think if this was scales, it'd be a little different.
We're going to try and keep the sand and gravel out of this mold. Okay, so we're laid in there. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to basically use probably one, maybe two of these blocks of wood for a filler after we put our paper mache mix in there. And this is going to be an anchoring point to a hanger, a piece of driftwood, or whatever we wanted. A lot of times when you do this, after you put the mix in here, is you want to whip stitch all this together. But we're not going to do that because, like I said, I don't want to rock this mold. And if you crack this line where the mold was cracked in here, your mache mixture is going to go down inside of here, and it's going to divot out your show side of your fish, and it's just going to cause enough nightmares. And this Pompano fish has caused us enough nightmares. So, but anyways,
it was a fun few dollar buy at the time. Yeah. Seemed like a good idea.
It seemed like a great idea, good experimentation. But in all honesty, I probably could have had somebody's whitetail done by now. But anyhows, this is what we're doing. It's an adventure. Okay, we're just trying to line things up here. What we're going to do now is we just got a little bit of water, a container. We got our recipe here for some plaster. Paper mache, a little plaster, some cork, a little vermiculite. Kind of a shop little recipe we have. We're just going to go real slow here. We're just going to try and do this without creating a lot of dust. I did the bluegill one. I actually put this in a better ventilated area, and I cut the video and said we're trying to do this unedited, so we're gonna go slow here. Try not to create a lot of dust. I know we're definitely gonna need more than this, but when you mix this up, there really is no magic formula for how many ounces of this to, you know, a cup of water or half a cup of water or whatever. We're just trying to get this to the consistency basically of concrete. And you can see right there, it's so soupy that we're definitely gonna need more of this. And that's hardly gonna be enough to fill in this ocean saltwater Pompano, golden Pompano. So hang tight. This is going to be some excitement here at the end to see if we can actually pull this out of the mold or not, and see what we have. If we're going to have a flat surface, we're going to have one that's going to be creased, wrinkled on the show side. If it's going to turn out, I really don't know. Like I said, this is kind of a little experiment for us, and we just figured we'd throw it on YouTube for some different variety and some content, and we don't want to ruin our credibility as being professional taxidermists, but sometimes
what a headache.
It's a little headache, but we're going to have a little bit of fun at the same time, so we can battle through and persevere. Okay, that's getting there. You can see that consistency right there. That's about maybe a little bit soupy, so I'm going to add a little bit more so we don't have a lot of waste. I'm trying to measure up for, we don't want to waste a lot of product, and also we don't want to add water where you got to add more mache mix and then more water, and we end up with this tub half full for one fish. So, but the other thing on this is you know, if you plan ahead, we use this mache mix. If you have too much, you can go throw it on the skull of a deer, or your elk or your moose or whatever. If you got a shoulder mount of an animal, you can fill it right up and fill in the plaster cap on the top of it makes good filler for that. So we have done that with a lot of extra product, and we're doing multiple fish at a time, bluegills, crappies, and things like that we're familiar with. But this method, like I said before, we don't advise you to use this plaster cast method in any fish more than 2 pounds, because I mean, in the long and short of it, it is a little bit heavier, even with those blocks of plywood in there, that 1/2-inch plywood we're going to use. You don't want that skin to crack on you, and a piece of foam would work a lot better. But this, like I said, is an adventure and something different. So, and we're just going back and forth here. I'm going to try not to make too much product, and also I want to make sure I have enough so I don't have to do another mix. Use some magic tools. You can use a little beater to do this, a little mixing drill, you know, a piece of wire hooked on the end of a 3/8 inch drill, whatever. But I do it this way. I'm just trying to keep the dust down right now, so I don't sound like a Star Wars creature when with a mask on and I'm trying to explain what we're doing here and come up with my stupid ass humor to keep people entertained while they watch me mix up this plaster. But anyhow, like I said, hang tight. This is going to be, we're just about there. This is going to be very interesting. Like I said, once we put this in the mold, we're not going to sew the back of the fish together, because we don't want the pressure on there in the mold and the plaster on the fish. So I do not want to crack that mold, because I know we will have a disaster. So or we are in I'm not going to get into we're first week of April 2025, and I was just going to say we don't need another political disaster, but we're not going to get into that part of things right now either. So, okay, I think we're in good shape. Kind of going to measure this up. I think we're going to be close between that and my blocks of wood. So, working time on this, when it's soupy like this, is probably going to be 10 minutes. I would say, I don't know, it's going to be hard to say. It depends on humidity, your environment as far as how warm it is, how cold it is, how warm your water was, and you mix it all up, and as far as how long this is going to take to set. So,
but we're dry.
yeah, it is. There's no humidity right now at all in the hourly variant. I think I heard 20% maybe. But that's our meteorologists and climatologists and all that. They say 20% humidity, and we've got 2 inches of snow right now, and it's still snowing, so who knows. All right. I'm just trying to get the wrinkles out. We're going to get this party started. I think I'm going to start right here. Like I said, I really have done thousands of panfish, freshwater fish with this method, but never a saltwater fish with a skin like this. So I'm just figuring out where I'm going to go, and just I'm with you folks, just trying to find my way through it, and it is a learning project. So
We do have a better video on how to stuff fish with this mache method in our bluegill series, so you can always check that out.
yeah, that one was pretty much uncut, unedited, if I remember right, and it came out outstanding. Yeah,
We sold it.
we got enough product. We thank all our folks that follow us along. It really means a lot. If you want to like and subscribe and share, that would be awesome. It helps us grow our channel and bring you some stupid humor and some valuable content all at one time. So what we're doing right now is we're just trying to get the air bubbles out of this. Like I said, we do have a lot of working time. This is really, it's really actually soupy, which is fine. So what I did is we put this in the mold, the gill cover. I wanted to make sure that this, with the collarbone on the other side, came underneath, if that makes any sense. You can see that right there. Okay, you wanted the collarbone underneath the gill cover on the show side of the fish, which is the bottom. That is important. And then you also want the skin on the throat latch. You want that lined up right in between here when you start putting your filler in there. And then, of course, I was trying to get all the wrinkles out of the skin, and my concern is right down in here on the belly area. I roughed up the skin a little bit, and I did cut a little hole there, which is not the end of the world. And we are going to lose some product out of that side. And I do suspect when we pull this out of the mold, some of that clay is going to come with it. So we're going to have some of that dark on the skin, but that residue and the clay, that'll wipe off a little bit of water. So not the end of the world. But we got to get the shape of this fish down first before we worry about that. And just trying to kill a little bit of time here, keep you informed. Thanks for hanging in there. We're waiting for this to cure out a little bit more. Like I said, we're not going to sew this together, because if we start whip stitching this, we start flipping it up, having to put it back, we start rocking the skin, it's going to crack like it did from there all the way up to here. And we just spent time putting the clay down in here, the potter's clay, and we don't want that to rock around, and just bad things will happen when we start jostling that. So we can do this without sewing. And that's what we're going to do. So got a little and a little more. We're going to sink that block in there. We want to push it down so far that we're going to get the square outline on the show side of the fish. But you want to sink it in there pretty good. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to take, this is the back side of the fish right here. And you can see that this needs to come this way quite a bit in the mold. We need to fill that in better. Stretch this over like this. And move this block up this way. I'm going to kind of pull it in. And then what I want to do is you can kind of gauge how much more fill you need in there. Okay, we have a long ways to go. You can see how flat we are right there. We want to make this nice and round on this side with fill.
It's pretty puckered.
Yeah, this is going to be a battle.
But this is something we're going to keep for us and laugh about for a few years. We'd never sell something like this.
It's just the do's and don'ts of taxidermy, and sometimes when it's learning something different, even the professionals have done a lot of freshwater fish and made a pretty decent living at it through the years. It's you get into something like this, and it just it's knowledge, and to do it, get in there and try it, and you'll know what works and what doesn't work. And this is really different because I'm used to doing a perch and a bluegill with this method, and these fish are quite a bit flatter than our freshwater fish, these marine fish. So I got to keep that in mind when I start filling in this back. I want to put enough in that I don't get a flat back, but I don't want to overfill either. So I'm gonna work this along and see what happens. We're just about out of product here, so probably just gonna have enough if I scrape that container just to fill in the head area. Now this here, we can work up underneath the throat latch, like I said. We can work that in there. I know I said we were going to do this hopefully unedited and uncut, but we are going to have to pause here for a little bit, because you guys are going to be bored to death while we actually literally watch plaster dry, like paint drying. This is going to take a little bit of time. And as soon as this cures, or we can work it a little more, we're going to fill you in and bring you back to what we got going on here. So just hang tight. Okay, we're back. It's been about 20 minutes now. And all I really did is we just kept tapering the mache like this. And we had a rip right there, and we're going to have a couple of wrinkles here, but that's on the back side. That's okay. I just wanted to make sure that everything was kind of feathered down by this fin here and up by the dorsal area up here. It looks really nice now. And we got some shape. We're not real flat. We're doing okay. So we got just a little bit of elasticity to this mache mixture that we have. I lifted up on the tail here a little bit, and we're a little bit soft. Now the key to doing this is we're gonna have to pull this out of the mold without the whole thing just coming apart on us. But at the same time, we don't want it hard enough that we don't have any flexibility to it, or we can't move the mache around at all. So see, like right up in here, we're too thick here. We can still get a little bit of that out of there. You can see though we're starting to dry pretty good. And right up in here, we got this little cave in. If we flip this over and we come out okay on the other side, that little cave in down the road, we can just come in there and we can tuck a little bit of clay to form that. We go to pin these fins out and we clay in the cheeks. But first things first, we have to get this out of the mold. So this is an adventure. Thanks for hanging in there. A little bit of drama, a little bit of suspense, and it's only a fish. It's supposed to be fun, but at this point, it's not frustrating. It'll be satisfactory and satisfying if we can flop this over and it comes out. So let's see what happens. We're starting to dry. You can still see it's kind of soft, but yet a little pliable. But I think we can get it out of the mold without a lot of damage here. I said that before. Destroyed the whole damn mold. So, all right, let's see what we can do. Wiggle this loose here a little bit. Okay, we're not going to put a lot of pressure on the show side. We don't want a big thumbprint or fingerprint in the fish. We're going to move it right over here for now. And we do have some wrinkles. We caught a couple of good ones, didn't we? But that can be fixed, that can be repaired, not a big deal. We got a good shape. I mean, it's actually a good shaped fish, but we got some work to do here. Still feather some of this around. Push some of that mache. I don't know for the life of me know why that we ended up with a big ridge right there. But anyhow, it is what it is. So, and when it gets that deep, there's really no way of pushing that mache in there.
Sorry.
But we can patch this. We can texture this when we paint that. We can fix that up. But unfortunately, it's going to take this at least 2 months to dry completely, especially as much oil that was in there. And then to get rid of some of that oil, to cut the skin, we can use denatured alcohol, mineral spirits, and that will help. But we might post this down in the future how we complete this, but don't hold your breath on that. This was, on the scale of 1 to 10, the success ratio on this was about 2.
You even give it a 2?
I'll give it a 2. But anyhow, that's what we ended up with a broken mold, a very greasy ocean fish, and I can see why they do fiberglass replicas. It's
I definitely would not suggest
I would
this.
not recommend this, and I think I'd stated when I started skinning this fish way back when, a week or so ago, that I knew I would never be able to make a living doing an ocean fish with
We still got 2 more to go.
with this technique. I think we'll be applying our knowledge to perch and bluegills, sunfish, and crappies. But anyhow, maybe we will. We're going to dry this out, and we'll show you how we prep this for paint down the road. So,
May show you.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But it's an adventure. So now you know why you never see marine fish, or very seldom done, with the traditional taxidermy method. It's a lot of work, a lot of grease, a lot of oil, a lot of frustration, and part of that was on us for not having good plaster. But on the other side of it, it's just they're very oily fish, and that's the downfall to doing them in a traditional style. So thanks for hanging in there. Sorry it took so long to get this stage, but everything can't turn out to be a perfect 10. So thanks again, and be safe.